and welcome to the Woolly Ramblings podcast. My name is Nicole, and I'm coming to you today from the central Willamette Valley in western Oregon, where I live with my husband and my 1-year-old son. This is a video podcast where I talk about my fiber crafts, mainly knitting and spinning. I am also one of the shepherds at Covered Bridge Farm, so I often share sheepy tidbits about the wonderful animals that grow our woolly fiber that we love so much. Welcome back to episode 6. I'm so happy you're joining me today. It is a beautiful fall day. Happy first day of fall, slightly belated. Yesterday was the first day of fall, and it is finally starting to feel like autumn here. I know I talked in the last episode how when it turns September 1st, I don't really feel that instant it's fall feeling that I think some people do. But we finally got rain last weekend. We have been in desperate need of rain, and we have it now, and you can already see the grass starting to green up. The leaves just seem to be more vibrant. There's that kind of nice autumnal smell in the air, if that makes sense. Kind of that smell of the first rain after it's been really dry, but mixed with the leaves, I think. I don't know. So it's feeling nice and cozy in fall like here, and I hope wherever you are that you are enjoying some autumnal weather, whatever kind suits your area. I know if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to be shifting into another season rather than fall, but I hope you are having a seasonally appropriate day wherever you are. I'm here with my hot cocoa. Today, I'm not a tea drinker. A lot of people I know who do knitting podcasts love tea, and to be honest, I have never acquired a taste for tea. So for me, it's hot cocoa if I'm at home, and I do love a good latte or mocha espresso drink, but I'm kind of spoiled. I worked in a coffee shop for a while, and so I haven't found any at-home coffee that really suits me at this point. So if you have recommendations, I'd love to hear them. But anyways, let's jump into the knitting content, I guess. That's all I have to share. I actually don't have that much to share with you today. I have one project and not that much progress on it. And if you might have guessed from the beginning of the episode, I do a changing intro every episode, and you might have noticed that there was a lot of canning and food preservation going on in the intro, and so the last 2 weeks that has been my big focus. My husband works for a farm and feed home and garden type store, and they have a canning sale once a year, and so he brought me home a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables that I have been preserving for the coming winter. So yeah, I'm almost done. I'm currently working through the last of my pears, which is a little bit slower because I'm dehydrating them. Neither my husband or I are crazy about eating pears just to eat or in other formats, but he absolutely loves dried pears, and it's really hard to find them in stores. You tend to have to order them online, and then they're very expensive, and it's kind of hard to justify paying $40 for a 1-pound bag of pears that he can eat in like a week's time. Anyway, so this is a great alternative, but it's a lot more time consuming because I'm using my dehydrator and it takes several hours. I usually only get a batch done a day. Anyways, enough chit chat about canning. If you want to hear more about that, I'd be happy to talk more about that. I'm by no means an expert at canning. This was the first year I canned applesauce and tomatoes, so that was a new experience for me. Anyways, let's now jump into the knitting. So, in the last episode, I showed you the start to my Zweig sweater, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and I am still on the lace section like I was in the last. I am probably over halfway at this point, and to be honest, I have not been a perfectionist when it came to the lace pattern. I have definitely made some mistakes, and I'm thinking with this pattern and the speckled yarn that it's not going to be super obvious. Let's see if I can hold this without losing my stitches. I should put it on a longer cable, but I just haven't done that. So again, here is the top of the sweater. So it's a top down. So this is the neckline here, and this is a yoke. So it's a yoke constructed sweater. And I am using Teal Torch Knits yarn, which is a local indie dyer out of Portland. And her, what is this? This is her Teal Torch Knits DK, so kind of her standard DK. I'm struggling, I'm so sorry. And, okay, there we go. Now you can kind of see it better. You can see all my lovely stitch markers. Kaylin Hunter has you diligently mark out each of the lace repeats, which is so convenient, and I'm kind of glad she tells you to do that in the pattern. I know not everyone likes when patterns get really detailed and hold your hand, but sometimes I kind of like it, not gonna lie. Anyways, so you can kind of see the pattern. And you can see in the last episode I talked about how I was a little bit concerned that the speckled yarn, which is the colorway Dangerously Happy, had too much blue and that it just didn't tie in with the purple, which is Christina's High Queen Margo colorway. And I was worried it wasn't tying in well enough, but now that I'm further into the ball of yarn and the pattern, there's more purple that's showing through. Again, I would like it to maybe be a little bit more purple showing through. I don't know if that even focused when I showed that to you. But there's blues and yellows and purples are the main speckling colors in this speckled yarn. So I'm liking it. I like it a lot. Again, it's really out of my color zone. I kind of, like, please don't hate me. I'm not a big bright color person, and so the yellow and the blue is a little bit out there. And I think it's partly the triangles here on top. But I feel like it almost reminds me of a Crayola crayon. If that makes sense. So like the wrapper has the triangles on it. I feel like this would be a perfect sweater with these colors for an art teacher. Or it also gives me Mrs. Frizzle off the Magic School Bus vibes for some reason. Anyways, I don't know why. But yeah, that's all I've done. So I've probably only done about an inch of the lace pattern. So I think I have about 12 more rows of the lace pattern before I move on to the finishing color work, before you move on to the body and splitting for the sleeves and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's all the knitting I have to show you. But I am going to show you something else, because we can't have a fiber podcast without talking about more fiber, right? So this is something new for me to try to share with you guys. But as I mentioned in the intro, I am one of the shepherds at Covered Bridge Farm, and one of our key things that we do is we raise our sheep for fiber production, and we have added value products that we have done up at small mills from the wool from our sheep. And so we have yarn and roving, and I often have fleeces for sale in our online shop. And when we go to fiber festivals, which I'm so sad this year, they just canceled Oregon Flock and Fiber, which is the last fiber festival of the year, for us at least. And so I'm super duper bummed about that. I completely understand why they needed to, but I was so looking forward to it, and I know a lot of other people were too. So anyways, So I have some new yarn in our Etsy shop, and I thought I would share a little bit about it. I don't know if this interests you guys or not, but I thought I would try it out. So I just launched this yesterday in celebration of the autumn equinox, and I hope you can see it all right and it's not too washed out with the white background that I have. But this is some of our new Horn Dorset yarn, and I have two bases here that I want to talk about. So I actually, again, we are a participant in the Shave 'em to Save 'em program, and so earlier in the spring when these lambs were shorn, so this is Horn Dorset lamb wool. So when these lambs were shorn, I went to the Shave 'em to Save 'em community and said, hey, we are having some Horn Dorset yarn spun. Excuse me. We are having some Horn Dorset yarn spun up. What sort of yarn weights are you guys interested in? And the results were actually quite unanimous. I was actually really surprised. But 3-ply was a thing. It was, everyone was saying 3-ply. And one was the 3-ply worsted. Let's see if this will focus. And oh my gosh, I love the Horn Dorset in the worsted. We hadn't ever had a 3-ply worsted done before. We'd had a 2-ply worsted. But oh my goodness, this is just so squishy and bouncy. Dorset is a very lofty wool anyways, and it has a lot of elasticity. So like if I were to unroll the skein here, you can see that I can pull it a lot. It's got a lot of memory. And the down fiber is super duper insulating because the wool, the locks of the wool in long wool breeds like your BFL and your Romney and breeds like that, the fibers are aligned naturally. But with down breeds, and the Horn Dorset kind of falls in the down breeds. I know some people would say it doesn't, but it has a lot of characteristics of the down breeds. Excuse me. It has a lot of characteristics of the down breeds, and so the locks, for a lot of individuals, the fibers are, instead of being all nicely aligned, they're kind of crisscrossing and meshed together, and so it's really hard to get those fibers to perfectly align because they're not naturally aligning anyways. And so because of that, when the fibers are spun, I believe it would be a woolen spun. I could be wrong. My mom will tell me if I'm wrong. It traps more air, and so the Horn Dorset is going to be super duper, like really insulating. Great for a sweater if you are an outdoors person, you love the winter sports, or socks, hats, mittens, things that parts of your body you want to be really, really warm. This is gonna give it to you. And because of the already lofty nature of the Horn Dorset, with this added 3-ply detail, if I can get it to focus, this yarn is going to be amazing for textured and cable patterns. So this is super cool. I'm really excited, and I'm so glad that so many people suggested this. I would love this to be a regular in the shop, and so yeah, unfortunately I probably am not going to get to knit with this, though that's not completely true. There was a skein in the batch that kind of got, something happened to it, and it doesn't meet code, essentially quality control, to go in our Etsy shop, so that might be for me. But I also want to share the second base, and the second base is something that we've had before, but again, it was a popular request. I don't feel like I'm focused. Okay, hopefully I'm focused. So the next yarn is another 3-ply, and this is a 3-ply fingering weight yarn. And the 3-ply fingering weight, a lot of people automatically assume socks. And with the first batch, the original batch that we had done of 3-ply worsted, or excuse me, 3-ply fingering, it was intended for socks. She did a really high twist, but part of the disadvantage of a really high twist is that it kind of takes away the softness of a fiber. It makes it feel harsher than it really is because it's spun so tightly, it's all twisted up like a rope. You know, maybe that's not the best analogy, but because of that, this time she did a little bit looser of a twist, and it's a lot softer, and you can kind of feel it's still a little bit stiffer than if you feel the worsted, but it's gonna be nice and durable. Also 3-ply, so again, cables, texture is gonna look amazing in this yarn. It would be great for socks, it'd be great for other projects as well. I actually had a gal inquire, unfortunately we ran out. This was our old batch before we got this new batch in, and she was interested in making a pair of knitted leggings, which I thought was really interesting, and I'm really bummed that we did not have the quantity she needed at that time. Anyways, so yeah, again, nice and springy, lots of elasticity. So these are both up in our Etsy shop now, and they are eligible for the Shave 'em to Save 'em program if you are participating in that. But if not, don't let that hinder you. Feel like you have to be Shave 'em to Save 'em to get some. I've also set some aside to do some dyeing with, because some of the skeins have a little bit of coloring in them from products that we use to identify the sheep on the farm, and so because of that there's a little spots of blue, and so I want to over dye those skeins. And I was actually thinking of recreating the orange from my husband's sweater, maybe trying to make it more solid, I don't know. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you, so I will definitely include all the details on that, these skeins, in the description box below. But yeah, I don't normally share stuff about products. Well, I do, because I knit with our products a lot, but I don't normally share a segment specifically on products in our shop. So those are new, I thought I'd share, and I hope you enjoyed that little segment. So with that said, that's it. That's all I have to share with you. However, I do have some fun extra footage to share with you today. No sheepy talk today. I promise there will be some sheepy talk in the next episode, because we're coming up on lambing. And I know, wait a second, I just a few episodes was talking about breeding on lambing. Don't worry, I'll talk about more about that in the next episode, but I'm not gonna go into that because we'll be here a while. Anyways, so yeah, this last weekend was my mom's birthday weekend. Her birthday was actually at the beginning of the week, and so she did something fun where she each day picked a little outing to go do, and me and my son tagged along with her. So we, 2 of those days, we went to some fiber stores, local fiber yarn stores in our area, and both of these stores are a little bit out of our usual, out of our way, I guess. I can't say that we have, well, I guess we do have some yarn stores that are a little bit closer. But anyways, one of these was Eugene Textile Center, which is in Eugene, which is about an hour away from us. And Eugene Textile Center is a fibercraft store that is a little bit different. I mean, I say it's different because it's not your typical yarn store. They are really focused on textiles and weaving. So I actually purchased my loom 10 years ago on the exact day that we went. I have a 4-harness floor loom, which someday when I have my own house, maybe we will be seeing more weaving on this episode. I really haven't dabbled much in my weaving, even though I've had this loom for 10 years. I'm sorry, Mom. And the deal was I wasn't supposed to bring home this giant piece of furniture and then not use it, and that's kind of what happened. Anyways, maybe we'll get to talk about that more in the future. But they focus a lot on weaving, so you can get all the appropriate yarn that you need for weaving. But they also have lots of used equipment. So there's used spinning wheels and different carding equipment. And my mom actually went and bought a pair of combs. She's currently experimenting and teaching herself how to comb, which is really cool. I've never tried combing before, but I'm definitely going to have to try her combs out before I make my decision on if I'm going to get myself a drum carder or if I'm going to do combs instead. But anyways, more blather for another segment. But so we went there and we got to look at all the beautiful yarn and looms and books that they had, and they just recently moved to a new location, which is so much nicer than their old location. So I've included some clips here, and that'll be the first store that you're seeing. And they also have a lot of classes, so if you are in the Oregon area and you're wanting to learn some new skills, definitely check out the Eugene Textile Center for classes. And they're really, really helpful. They sat down and did their best to help Mom pick out what type of combs. Did she want a new pair or a used pair? Anyways, so that'll be the first store you're seeing. Then on another day, we went up to Silverton to the Apples and Oranges yarn store, and they're a little bit different. They're a blend of a tea shop, a yarn store, and a gift and toy store. So I did a little bit of filming there and thought I would show you that as well. So I hope you enjoy that little tour of these fiber craft stores while you enjoy my classic intro music. So I hope you enjoy that, and I will see you in 2 weeks, beginning of October, or roughly. And happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will see you next time. Bye!